I'm doing something a little different here. Attaching this video to this email. Okay, just something different. I've been doing posts and videos and for quite some time now, and so I thought I would just try something different here. These are thoughts from a praying dad, praying for my family, a concerned dad, concerned for the days that we're in here, these events that are taking place, concerned about about how opinions are formed and how information is put out to the public. People make decisions and they discern and they make opinions based on very little information, hardly any information at all, and yet we come up with all of these opinions and to try to discern what these days of riots and pandemics are all about. And as time goes on, there's a chasm being created between me and family and friends in the areas of communication. Okay, and that concerns me. There's not much I can do about it, but yeah, it is a concern. So, try in different ways to bring clarity to my thoughts and stuff. I'm actually, for the future, I'm putting together posts and videos together to bring clarity to my thoughts and why people always ask me, why do you bring God into everything and stuff like that. And so I'm putting things together to bring, but it's a lot of stuff. I mean, it's a lot of work. It'll take me months to get all this together. Okay, and then I'm saving it, and well, it's for the future. It's for another time, not for now. Nobody's got time for this. Nobody even cares about this stuff. Not right now. The day will come when they will. And I'm thinking about the children and the grandchildren, especially the grandchildren. And so, maybe if these notes and videos last that long, then there'll be something there to, that I can share these thoughts with. Because I think it's important. Yeah, it's important to get truth out there, because the older we get, the harder it is to discover truth. And so yeah, that's why I just feel compelled to caution and or even warn family and friends. How I'm going to word that, I'm not quite sure, but that's what the things that I'm saving, that I'm doing on the side, that's what that's for. But this here is just a note, just to kind of maybe get the ball rolling, or just to express that I'm praying and praying for my family. But as time goes on and the summer rolls on and the months go ahead here and stuff, it's getting harder and harder. Communication is harder and harder, and the chasm gets bigger and bigger. Okay, you see, life isn't life. When we look at life, it's not a series of different events for this and that, different news stories and stuff. It's life is one story, one event, and to be looked at that way. And but people don't look at things that way. People today are forced to discern multiple different events, issues and stuff. Makes us think if we can just fix some of these areas, that the world would be a better place, and that's the way we think. And so I mentioned later in this email how people, they say, well, I have a pessimistic view and I'm a pessimist. And they say that as an insult and stuff, but then it just dawned on me that I guess I am. And reading and going through the Bible these last 15 plus years and stuff has made me that way. So yeah, I'm going to start embracing that term, pessimism, because that's not a bad thing. Okay, I'm very pessimistic view of this world. Okay, and it's not easy to try to guide people and direct people to a book that does that, but pessimism is not a bad thing. Okay, it makes me think more of the eternal. Okay, so yeah, I embrace the word pessimism now, because when it comes to this world, that doesn't mean we don't try to make the world better. That doesn't mean that at all. People think that. Okay, it doesn't mean you just throw up your hands and give up. All it means is that whatever you think better is, however you define that, well, we're not going to achieve that. Okay, because I bring clarity to that in some of the things that I'm saving, so I'll save that for later. But that's all that means. Like I said, most people don't know how God fits into all this stuff. They keep wondering, well, why do I keep bringing up God and everything? Some of that has to do with, we're never going to understand life or be able to interpret life if we don't know how to interpret death. First we interpret death, what that means, and then we can correctly interpret this life. But we have it backwards. So many things I've seen over the years we have backwards. We view everything backwards. And I know, and the fact that maybe you don't understand what I just said, okay, that causes this great divide and chasm between me and others in areas of communication. But I'm just going to have to be okay with that. I want to expound a little bit more on this communication breakdown, which is really the reason why I'm even reaching out. So I'm going to insert this clip here because thoughts keep coming to me, and I think it's important. I'll only do this once, so I may as well get it all in here now. So I'm going to add this clip here. But decades worth of examining how people, I examine how people speak, how people perceive things, okay, is partly responsible for the divide, for this chasm. I know it's God alone that opens people's eyes. I know that. I realize that. But I'm not influenced by images that are on the screen. Okay? I'm not influenced by watching the news and things of that nature because I know that that the destructive nature that these images have on our brains. Avoid a lot of things purposely in whether it's news media, whether it's church teachings, or I avoid a lot of stuff. I'm very cautious and protective what goes into my mind these days. But that didn't just happen, but that developed over the years. But I make sure that I see just enough to know that I need to caution and warn those that I love. And is caution them on what? Most people don't even think they need to be cautioned about anything. The only way I can explain things like this is, because I question these phrases that are so popular today, okay? Like, I question things like Black Lives Matter or MAGA and Make America Great Again. I question these things. So for that, I'm called a racist, okay? Or I question these so-called experts, from the CDC or all these people that are on the task force, okay? And, or I question people wearing masks. Okay, now for that, I'm called anti-science, or several times I was called that I don't love my wife. I've been married for decades now, and now all of a sudden I don't love my wife. Okay, now I can handle these lies. I can tolerate these lies. But I guess my warning and caution to my family is don't be pulled into the mainstream of anything, because I guess the better way to put it is you'll surely drown if you do, okay? But it just seems like there's indications that we're being pulled into this mainstream of thought. Yeah, and I'm very, very protective of what goes into my mind. I watch the things that I read and see on TV. I don't watch much TV. I don't watch many movies, okay? And I'm careful and protective of what goes into my mind, and because of that, that allows me to think for myself. And that is the biggest threat to this society right there. It's not the pandemic, it's not a virus, it's not the riots. Okay, the biggest threat to this culture is people that think for themselves. So my caution is twofold in several ways, okay? I've mentioned before in different areas how we've developed our worldview at a very early age. Okay, by the time we're 11, 12, even maybe 13 years old, we've already established our worldview. And so everything that happens from that point on just fits into the worldview. As we're growing older, we turn 15, 20, 25, okay, fits into the worldview that was developed a long time earlier. And my caution is not to take these current events, okay, and to place them into a worldview that you've developed at an early age. Okay, it's not easy for me to say because I know what's involved in challenging our views. I know what's involved in that. A lot of pain, a lot of heartache, a lot of anger, a lot of being offended. These are all not desirable things. And somebody says, well, why would I want that? Yeah, it has to go with what we focus on and what we feed our brains every day, what we feed our minds. So So that's about it. I just want to keep this clip that I'm inserting here under 5 minutes. So I just wanted to just expound a little bit more on this communication breakdown, this chasm that's being built. I know there's not much I can do about it. I can pray, and I am praying. And so my prayer is that you would question and examine your beliefs in light of Scripture. And if you don't know Scripture, that would be, then you just discovered your biggest problem. And so just keep in mind that the biggest threat to this culture are those who think for themselves. And so that's it for now. So, but what's going on with all these riots and pandemics, and how can this fit into, how does this fit into like this one thing, this one story that I'm talking about? Well, if I were to think of one story, it's something like this. If you own something, okay, that's broken, okay, what's the one thing you want? The one thing you want. What's the one thing? Well, it's to get it fixed. You want it fixed. Now, of course, this analogy it's a twofold meaning here, really, because you have a choice. You can either throw it out and get a new one, or you can fix the old one. Okay, they both apply in this situation. So, but I'm not going to elaborate on that now, because I could come up with a bunch of religious mumbo jumbo, but it wouldn't be understood right now. So, but yeah, that's the main thing. If something's broken, you want it fixed. Well, I'm going to close this out now. I could tell by some of the things that were said to me by family, some very hurtful things, and some by posts that Mom's showing me off her Facebook. I can tell that many are being deceived through this whole thing. Many are being deceived. And so this is just my way of putting a caution out there. Just a little cautionary flag to consider, how we take in our information, where we get our opinions from, okay? And I guess the hardest thing to convey in this whole thing is that people have a very distorted view of themselves, okay? And that's a hard thing to convey, and that's much of the reason why this chasm is being created with me in conversation and communication areas. And I made an editing error towards the end of making this video, so I have to insert this clip here. In keeping what I was saying there about having a distorted view of ourselves, which we do have, and that's how I ended this email here by cautioning you not to think more highly of yourself than you ought to. Well, understanding the correct view of ourselves goes a long way in understanding all the things that are going on around us, all the issues that are not only the current issues such as the pandemic and these riots, okay, but all the issues of history, okay. It goes a long way. And if you all have stay safe out there, enjoy the weekend that's coming up, and yeah, thanks for listening, and I'm sure we'll talk soon. See ya.